Hello guys, welcome back to Maison African Motives. In this platform, we shall be focusing on question number 1 from April 2020, that is Mathematics N3 for the members platform. So I actually invite you guys to this platform, working with more questions as per requirement that we talked about, and also invite as much as we can guys others to join us so that they can be part of this membership platform. You can also send your questions so that we can work from there. Those different typical questions, as long they are not on the major videos that we have with all viewers there, then we can work with those classes separately. All right, anyways, we are not going to waste much time. We are going to quickly rush through the questions that we are given on question 1, where we are given to factorize the following expression completely, that is 1.1. So I'm just going to show you a different stage that you can actually have. Yes, there are so many ways that you can do when you're factorizing. I see you guys, some of you have got different methods when it comes to factorization, but the idea still remains the same, or we still have the same thing on that factorization. So this one we are given 4 into m minus n squared plus 5 into m minus n, and we've got minus 6 like this. So actually, for you to factorize this type of an expression, what you need, you can factorize direct, or you can change this expression into an part that you actually understand, or mathematically the way that you actually understand, because we've got m minus n, which is an expression. So you can introduce a certain variable of our choice that we can use in place of n minus n. So you can just say, let in this way, you can just put x, let x be equal to m minus n. So this is the part that we're going to substitute in place of m minus n. So that means we can have this question now as 4 m minus n in place of x, and we've got m minus n squared. So this is going to be 4x squared plus 5 into m minus n, of which m minus n is now x. So this is going to be 5x minus 6. Okay. So what you're going to do, as you can see, it's a normal quadratic expression that you are used to, but this time we can't factorize this direct as we are used to. So we just have to, because the coefficient of x squared in this case is not 1. So that means it's difficult for you to factorize direct. So what's the easiest way that we can actually do is to rewrite, or is to multiply the first term, and not rewriting, but actually multiply the first term to the last term. So it's going to be 4x squared times minus 6, which is going to be minus, that's 24. So it's going to be minus 24 x squared. So you need two factors that you're going to multiply, and these two factors, they will actually give you negative 24x squared. But if you add these two factors, you must obtain the middle term, which is negative 24x squared. So guys, from your factorization, we know this. So it's a matter of trial and error that you're going to do. You try your factors. So in this case, I'm just going to give you these two. We've got 8x and minus 3x. Okay, if you are to multiply these to 8 times negative 3, that's negative 24. If you add 8 plus minus 3, you obtain 5, which is 5x. So these are the two factors that you're going to substitute in the middle term. Remember, these are supposed to be substituted into the middle term, which is 5x. So therefore, this expression can be written as 4x squared. We substitute these two terms, which is plus 8x minus 3x. All right, let me just rewrite this properly so that we can see this. Okay, so this is negative 3x, negative 6. Okay. From a factorization, you actually know that from this part, you can divide this into two terms, then you can factorize, like we can separate into two expressions. We've got the first one, second one. So grouping into two, that means we can factor out what is common from these two terms, that is 4x squared and 8x, which is the highest common factor with us, 4x from your mathematics N2. So you're gonna have 4x squared divided by 4x, that's x, plus if you divide 8x and 4x, that is going to be positive 2. So you can actually divide aside 8x over 4x like this. X and x will cancel, this and this will cancel, that's a 2. All right, from the other part, what you're going to do is to make sure that you're going to obtain the same bracket as the x plus 2. You have to obtain the same bracket. So what are you supposed to obtain? As we can see, negative and negative is common. So you're going to start with negative. So that will be negative. We move on to the numbers. That is a 3, which is common. So negative 3 is common. Then we can factor out. Negative 3x divided by negative 3. Negative 3 cancels out. You remain with x. We have got negative 6 and negative 3. If you divide negative 6 and negative 3, that is going to give us a positive 2. So as you can see, negative 6 over negative 3 cancels. That's a positive 2. So the two brackets are the same, just like what I was saying. So if these two brackets are the same, therefore we can rewrite this as factoring out x plus 2, which is common here. If we factor out this x plus 2, what are we going to remain with? On this part, we are going to remain with 4x. Here, we are going to remain with minus 3. So we're going to have bracket of 4x into negative 3. So don't forget, guys, this was not a factorization which was in terms of x. No, it was a factorization which was in terms of m. But if we had to check, we introduced x in place of m minus n. So we're going back to this introduction to say in place of x now, we are going to substitute the m minus n that we actually said is our resultant. So it's the one that we are going to substitute there. All right, so let's do that and see what you're going to have here. We are going to have this written as, in place of x, what are we substituting? M minus n. So that's what you're going to do here. So you're going to have x plus 2, which is m minus n in place of x, then plus 2. So it's going to be plus 2 like this. You do the same on this part. This is 4x. Take note, 4x means 4 into x, which is our x, which is m minus n. Whatever that you get here, we subtract 3. So it's 4 times m, which is 4m, 4 times minus n, which is minus 4n, minus 3. So this is what you're going to have in this bracket. That is going to be 4m minus 4n minus 3. Okay, now let's check our answer here. Do we have a condition? Do we have a condition that we can factorize again? There's no common factor between these. So this is your final answer. But if sometimes there can be a common factor, then you have to factor out that common factor again. But in this case, that's the resultant that we can have. On 1.2, that's factor and remainder theorem. Okay, we are asked to use the factor and remainder theorem to factorize f of x is equal to this. Okay, so that's factor and remainder theorem. If you are applying factor and remainder theorem, what you need is to have a factor first. Okay, let me not rush. I'm gonna do this on top here. All right, so I'm just going to do this question here on top. We were given on 1.2 that our f of x in this case is equivalent to x cubed plus 6x squared plus 11x plus 6. This is your f of x. So what you do is that you are supposed to factor out the first factor that you're going to use, knowing that from your factor theorem, if f of a is equal to 0 like this, okay, let's say you substitute a in place of x, then you obtain a 0. It means, therefore, x minus a is a factor. So that's how you find the first factor. You have to substitute a value, then you obtain a 0. So what I'm simply saying, if it is like this, if f of minus a, if you substitute a negative and you obtain a 0, therefore, x plus a is a factor. So that's what you actually need. So it's a trial and error, but this trial and error, you must not waste time trying any number of your choice. You focus with the constant term, of which our constant term is 6 of the whole expression. So what are the factors of 6? That's where you obtain this. So the factors of 6, we put plus or minus 1, okay, plus or minus 2, plus or minus 3, plus or minus 6. So each and every factor of 6 that you know, you put a plus or minus, then you try. Okay, let's start with 1. So I'm going to start with 1 here. Let's substitute 1 and see what you're going to have. F of 1, that is what it means. If x is equal to 1, you're substituting 1 into f of x. Okay, let me try to share the screen again so that we can see our calculator here. Okay, so I think the whole of the screen now is showing up. All right, so that's our calculator here. All right, sorry for that. Let's put our calculator again. All right, so that's what we have here. So like I was saying, we've got f of 1. That means in place of x, we're going to substitute 1 here in place of x. So as you can see, it's x cubed. So that is going to be 1 to the exponent of 3. Okay, plus 6x squared. So it's going to be plus 6 into 1 squared, like this. Plus 11 times 1, which is 11 times 1, plus 6. So this is what you're going to, which is 24. So as you can see, we are obtaining 24, which is not equal to 0. So that means 1 is not a factor. So 1 is totally out. You move on to -1. Remember, I started with plus 1. Now you move on to -1 because this is plus or minus. Okay, so let's see what you're going to obtain from f of -1. F of -1, okay, sorry for that. Let it save. It's going to save for some time. Okay, so that's f of -1 like this. Let's substitute -1 in place of x. So we just have to put a minus everywhere where there is 1. We just put a minus. So that's -1 here. I'll change here to -1 squared. We change here to -1 cubed like that. Okay, so that's a 0. As you can see, we are obtaining a 0. So f of -1 gives us a 0. So what does it mean? We are here. F of -a is equal to 0. It means x plus a is a factor. So if it is -1, therefore we are saying that x plus 1, as you can see, it was a minus. The answer is having a plus. So the same way we are having -1. So a factor is going to be a +1. So therefore, x plus 1 is a factor. So this is our first factor that we have. Remember, we are asked to factorize, and you factorize completely. So working with the cubic expression, as we can see, the highest exponent here is 3. So you're going to do the long division to find another factor. And this is what you're going to do. If you divide a cubic expression like this by a linear, this is a linear expression, you are going to obtain a quadratic. So after dividing, you're going to obtain a quadratic expression. Then you know that you can factorize a quadratic because you are used to quadratic expressions. Okay, so let's apply our long division. I hope we have a hint or just a know-how of this long division. Okay, in fact, anyways, let us have x plus 1 is the factor. That's the one that is going to be divided into the whole expression of x cubed plus 6x squared plus 11x plus 6. So after dividing, we must obtain a 0 because x plus 1 is a factor. All right, I just hope this space is going to work for us. Okay, anyways, this is what you do when you are dividing. It's always you divide the first term to the first term. So that's x cubed divided by x. Okay, x cubed divided by x, which is going to give us x squared. So this is going to be x squared. Okay, let me just choose another marker there on top. So this is going to be x squared. All right. Whatever that you get, after dividing, whatever that you get, you multiply it back to the whole expression that you're given of x plus 1. So it's x squared times x, which is x cubed. So this is going to be x to the exponent of 3. X squared times 1. You multiply everything. X squared times 1, which is x squared. You are done multiplication. So you divide first, you multiply back. Then what do you do after that? You subtract the resultant from the normal quadratic expression. So the normal cubic expression that was there. So let's subtract x cubed minus x cubed, that's a 0. 6x squared minus, this is a plus, so minus at a plus, that's a minus. So it's 6 minus x squared, of which this is ms, is a 1 here. So 6 minus 1, that is 5. So it is going to be 5x squared. You have done this process of subtracting. Then you drop all the other remaining expressions. We've got 11x, we've got 6. So we're going to drop this down. So this is going to be plus 11x plus 6. You do the same again. After you've dropped this, you do the same back to that division. Like I said, it's always first term divided to the first term. So it's 5x squared divided to x. So this is going to be 5x. There are 2 of them. So if you divide by 1x, you're going to remain with 1 because there were 2 of them. So this is going to be plus 5x. Remember what we did to x squared. Whatever that we have here is to multiply back to the whole expression here. So you're going to multiply 5x back to this bracket, which is x of x plus 1. So that's what you're going to have in this case. Okay, so let's multiply back. That's 5x times x, which is going to give us 5x squared. Okay, 5x times 1, that is going to be 5x. Then from there, we can subtract. So 5x squared minus 5x squared, that's a 0. Okay, 11 minus 5, that's 6. So this is going to give us 6x. Then like we did previously, we are going to drop this term, which is 6x, 6 down. So if we drop 6 down, it's a plus 6. We have dropped down, then back to division again. We divide again. First term always versus the first term. So it's 6x versus 6x. So 6x divided by 6x, that's a plus 6. So we've got 1x versus 1x, so that x will cancel. You remain with 6. So 6 multiplies back, just like all the other terms, it's going to multiply back everything. 6 times x, which is going to give us 6x. 6 times 1, that's a plus 6. Then we can subtract. So if we subtract here, that's a 0, because 6 minus 6, okay. So if you are to divide, then you obtain another number which is not 0, 0. It means that part is wrong. If truly this is a factor, you must obtain 0, 0, just like what we have there. So this is the tricky part now, or this is the most important part now, to say after you've divided, remember you were dividing by x plus 1. So these two, when multiplied together, they must give us the whole of this expression. Take note. These two, when multiplied together, they give us the whole of the expression, of which this whole part of the expression is equivalent to f of x. That was our f of x before. So therefore, we can write our f of x as equal to the product of the one that was dividing and the resultant, which is x plus 1. So we are going to multiply x plus 1 to the resultant, which is x squared plus 5x plus 6, like this. So that's it. But you check again, because you're not just factorizing, you are factorizing completely. So make sure even the quadratic expression, you check if the factorization is possible. Sometimes you might be given something like x squared plus 2x plus 3, like this. You can't factorize, you leave it like that. But in this case, let's try and see if it is possible for us to factorize. All right, we've got 1 here, the coefficient of x squared is 1, so you just have to try the coefficient, the constant term, which is 6. What are the factors of 6 that when you add, they will give us a 5? Do we have factors? Yes, we've got 3 and 2. 3 times 2, that's 6. 3 plus 2, that's 5. So that means we can factorize this. So f of x is equivalent to x plus 1, which is already here. Then we've got 2 brackets from the quadratic. Remember, always when you factorize the quadratic expression, there are 2 answers that you're going to have. So we've got x here, we've got x. We said the factors of 6, that when we add, we obtain 5. We said is 3 and 2. So we're going to add 3 and 2. So that's our f of x when factorized completely is our final answer. So be very, very careful to follow these stages. If it is by factor and remainder theorem, then that means you're going to end up with the long division part. So make sure that you revise, guys, from your textbooks, question papers as much as you can. This can help. So that was question 1.2. That was 5 marks. Then 1.3, having a total of 7 marks. That's a lot. Which was to simplify the given expressions. Okay, so we have to simplify these. I'm just going to remove this so that we can simplify our expressions aside. All right, so I'm just going to rewrite the whole of the question of 1.3 so that we can try by all means to work it aside together. All right, it was given as an expression of 3 minus x. So that was 3 minus x, everything over 2x squared minus x minus 3 plus 2 over 9 minus 6x plus 4 over 5x plus 5. Okay, I actually explained this type of a question. If you still remember when we were dealing with the other question paper, which was actually November 2016, from all viewers, videos, not from the membership videos, from those all viewers. I talked about these typical questions. But anyways, we're gonna work them together. We were given here these two, they're actually these three fractions, they're adding each other. Okay, so the first thing was actually for you to factorize these expressions, yes, and so forth and so forth. Okay, so let's factorize the first part, because we're given when you're factorizing the denominator here. So you can see that it's a quadratic. We've got 2x squared minus x minus 3. So you're going to factorize and see what we have here. All right, let's see what we have. 2x squared minus x minus 3. Okay, maybe if I just write it on top again, just a little bit on top. So this is 2x squared minus x minus 3. So like I said, guys, if it is like this, when the coefficient of x squared is not 1, you have to multiply the first term and the last term. That gives us minus 6x squared. So now you're asking yourself, what are the factors of negative 6x squared? But these factors, if you add them now, they must give you the whole of the middle term, which is negative x, and of which you know that negative x is same as negative 1x. List down the factors of negative 6. List them down, all of them. From those factors, which one is going to give you, which pair, when you add, is going to give you a negative 1? Okay, so it's a trial and error type of equation. So in this case, I actually have these two factors, 2x and negative 3x. Okay, let's multiply and see. 2 times negative 3, that's negative 6x squared. If we add 2 plus minus 3, that's minus 1. You can even use your calculator, guys, if there are some challenges there. All right, so we're going to substitute these two terms into the middle term. That's plus 2x minus 3x minus 3. It's best that, as you can see, the first term is containing a 2. So it's best for this 2x squared to be followed by also a 2. Here is 3. It's best the numbers that are common to each other to follow each other than for you to mix up. Yes, you obtain the same answer, but just try to write it this way. Okay, so dividing into 2, we can factor out what is common between 2x squared and 2x. So there is the common factor, as you can see, that's 2x. 2x squared divided by 2x, which is x, because we've got 2 and 2 cancels. X squared, there are 2, here they are 1. Here's just 1, so it's cancelled, you remain with 1. 2x and 2x are the same, so if they cancel each other, that's a plus 1. So as you can see, we are having x plus 1 in the other bracket, and you're supposed to factorize from minus 3x minus 3, a common factor, and you must obtain the same bracket as x plus 1. So which factor is that? That's a negative 3. So negative 3x and negative 3. Negative 3 will cancel, you remain with positive x. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 cancels, you remain with positive 1. So as we can see, x plus 1 here, x plus 1 is common, so you can factor out x plus 1. That means we remain with 2x minus 3 in the other bracket. Okay, so this is what we're going to have here. I'm going to erase it later on. Let me just take it down. So this can be written as 3 minus x like this, everything over these two brackets that we obtained, which is x plus 1 into 2x minus 3 like this. Okay. On the other part, if we are to check here in the denominator, we have got 9 minus 6x. That's what we are having in the denominator here. This is 9 minus 6x. Okay, the other terms, as we can even check here, it's 5x plus. We have to start with x, but this term is starting with 9, not x. If we are to check even our answers here, it's x plus 1, 2x. You are supposed to start with x, but here we are starting with a constant, which is 9. So if we are to start with the x, it is going to be negative 6x. We are starting with x. So it will be negative 6x, and 9 is a positive. That's positive 9 like that. What is common here? We can see that negative 3 is common. Like we want to avoid x to be a negative. Avoid by all means this x to be a positive. To be a negative, I mean, avoid this x to be a negative. So that means we are going to factor out negative 3 like this. So it's negative 6x divided by negative 3, which is a positive 2x. 9 divided by negative 3. If you divide 9 and negative 3, that's a negative 3. So as we can see, our x is now a positive. That is the best way of writing x. Always you start with x, and that x must be a positive. So there's a negative 3 that we have, but we know that we can't write this negative here in the denominator. So what do? You take this negative because it was supposed to be like this. I want you to see there was 2 over, it was supposed to be like 2 over minus 3 into 2x minus 2 like this. That is what it was supposed to be like. Okay, this is 2x minus 3. So because the negative cannot be written in the denominator like this, you have to carry it up where there was a positive. So it's now a positive here, the one that was originally on your question. You had a positive. With the negative that you factored out now, which sign is going to remain? Because it's a positive versus a negative. And that's a negative. Remember, positive and negative, it gives us a negative. So it's going to be negative 2 over the part that we obtained after factorizing. So we are no longer writing this negative because we used this negative here on this plus. So we're just remaining with the 3 and 2x minus 3. Okay, plus 4 over, as you can see here, just factoring 5, which is common. So if I factor 5, I remain with x plus 1. 5x divided by 5, that's x. 5 divided by 5, that's a 1. Okay, so these are the brackets that we are having. We are done with the factorization part. It's now back to addition and subtraction of fractions. That is the question now. So remember, if you're adding or subtracting fractions, all you need is to find the LCM, or some they refer this as the LCD of all these denominators that we have. So as you can see, we've got a number 3 and 5 in the denominator. So 3 times 5, that is 15. That is the lowest common multiple, or the LCD. We move on to the brackets. We've got x plus 1 here. We've got x plus 1 here, x plus 1. So as you can see, it is actually appearing once in each case. It is appearing once. So you just take it as it is once. So it's x plus 1. But if, let's say, we had an x plus 1 here, we're going to write it as x plus 1, x, because they are appearing 2 of them on a single fraction. But on this type of equation, we only had 1 here and 1 here. So you don't repeat another x plus 1. Okay, the same thing with 2x minus 3. There is 2x minus 3 here. There is 2x minus 3. You don't repeat that one because it is appearing once both sides. Okay, so that's our LCD. So now we can divide. Remember the concept. It's always the LCD divided by the denominator. So as you can see, this x plus 1 and this x plus 1 will cancel. The 2x minus 3 and the 2x minus 3 will cancel, which means we remain with 15. So this is the answer that you're going to obtain after dividing. So it's LCD divided by the denominator, which is 15. But this 15, it multiplies the numerator as it is. Remember, even if you're dealing with normal fractions, okay, you divide, then you multiply to the numerator. So you're going to multiply to the numerator, which is 3 minus x. Okay, there's a minus there. We do the same. Let's start with the numbers first. So it's 15 divided by 3. So if we divide 15 and the 3, that's a 5. But the 5 that we obtain, we have to multiply it to the numerator. So it's 5 times 2, which is 10. Okay, let's move on to the brackets. 2x minus 3, 2x minus 3 will cancel. That means you remain with x plus 1. So this is going to be x plus 1. All right, plus, you do the same, 15 divided by 5. That is 3. The 3 multiplies the 4. 3 times 4, that is 12. And x plus 1 will cancel. You remain with 2x minus 3 because these are the same, so they will cancel. So that's what you're going to have at this stage. From there, we can actually expand the given brackets, then collect like terms. We're done. 15 times 3, that is 45. All right, so we've got 45 there, 45. 15 times minus x, that's minus 15x. Minus 10 times x, that's minus 10x. Minus 10 times 1, that's minus 10. 12 times 2, that is 24x. 12 times 3, that's negative 36. Do you need a calculator here? I don't think we need a calculator here. So you just have to combine. But if you need a calculator, then use a calculator, okay? Don't mind, just use your calculator, guys. You're going to obtain the same answer as the one that I'm obtaining here. All right, so that's it. At this stage, we can collect like terms. So if you have to collect the terms, the constant only, it's 45 minus 10, which is actually 35. Then 35 minus 36, that's a -1, or like I said, use your calculator. -15, -10 plus 24, this is going to give us minus x. Okay, so we're going to have minus x, everything over 15 into x plus 1 into 2x minus 3, like this. Okay, seems like we are done. If you're looking at this, you'll be saying, I'm done actually simplifying this question. No, don't tell yourself that. Until the numerator is simplified. So what am I trying to say? Try to simplify the numerator to the last extent that you can ever have in your calculations. So what can we simplify? We can see that negative is common, so you can factor out -1. If we factor out -1, that's negative divided by negative, which is a positive. Negative x divided by negative, which is a positive x. Okay, everything over the denominator, which is 15 into x plus 1. Okay, that's 15 into x plus 1 into 2x minus 3. Okay, guys, x plus 1 and 1 plus is the same. It's like a plus b is the same as b plus a. So these two are the same, so they can cancel each other. That means in the numerator, we are going to obtain with a negative, which is -1. So it's going to be -1 over 15 into the bracket of 2x minus 3, like that. Okay, so that's the expression, or that's the term. It's a single term now that you're obtaining, or a single fraction that you're obtaining. So when you're asked to simplify, try by all means to factorize the denominators. Okay, try by all means to factorize the denominators. Then the rest, you have to simplify. You have to check as much as you can have from your calculations. Try by all means to just think outside the box, guys. Everything is possible. Okay, so that was 15 marks on question number 1. Let's meet again in another episode from Maison African Motives on membership class videos for Mathematics N3. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Okay, already you've subscribed. To share our platform to your friends, okay? Our link to the channel itself, to your friends, and also to invite others to join the membership family so that we can grow as a family of Maison African Motives till we meet again.